Hi, you've clicked on to today's tropical tidbit for Thursday. Over here in the Atlantic, we have a surprisingly active day in the tropics for late October. We've got 3 areas of interest over here, and what these two things are really just subtropical lows that are trying to get their act together here. The Hurricane Center just upped this to red, high chance for development over here because you got a surface low. What this really is an upper cold core upper low with lowering pressures on the divergent side of it. And this is trying its best to get under the convection here, which is not all that deep, but they're going to try to see if they can get this named over here before it goes out to the north. We'll see how that goes. This over here, surface low west of the convection, probably not going to have much more of a chance to develop over here. But it is interesting to see these subtropical cyclones, and what we have is a large-scale cool pool of air aloft in the upper atmosphere over here. If we turn on the upper winds, you can see how broad the upper low is over here with the winds, and you can see there's a jet coming out of the Central Atlantic and Eastern Caribbean over here, and look what we've got sitting down here. We turn these off again so we can see a large area of low pressure over here. If we zoom in on this, we notice how it's starting to spin vigorously, at least in the mid-levels, by the end of this loop over here, and it's unclear exactly how much of this spin is getting to the surface, but we're starting to see a well-defined system over here. Looking at the still picture, you can see where the center probably has to be over here, and you can see some banding trying to start to form with this as it develops a well-defined surface low, and this is coming west-northwest, and this is something that Trinidad and Tobago are going to have to be watching. The models aren't too excited on this developing before getting into this area, but this region, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, Grenada, St. Vincent, are going to have to keep an eye on this as this comes west-northwestward. This is going to come into the Caribbean and try to develop in this area over here, and I do think we're going to see Sherry out of this at some point. You can see how this upper low over here has been propagating westward at roughly the same speed that this has, and they're moving in tandem over here. You get a nice outflow jet ventilating this area, and as this moves in tandem, eventually will lift out, but we're not shearing this because the shear zone is backing westward as the system does, so instead we're getting an outflow and ventilation, which is going to help this system develop as it gets in here. Looking at the models now, this is the European ensembles day 10. Notice the lowering pressures in here, and the variance showing where the ensemble thinks the storm is going to be south of Jamaica over here in 10 days. If we look at the 500 millibar pattern 2 days before that, day 8, you can see a big trough into the eastern United States, and our storm would have been back in the central Caribbean over here. By day 10, the trough lifts out, and you got ridging starting to build back in over here, and the model has the storm still sitting down here. There's a couple different solutions we could have. Is either the storm tries to get drawn north right away with the trough in 7 to 8 days, or stays down here for a little while longer. If we look at the NACE, we got the same kind of thing. Day 8, big trough into the east. By day 10, it's gone. You got more ridging building back in. And looking at the GFS, day 6, same kind of thing, troughing over the east. Still hasn't quite figured this out, but it's got the same kind of deal over here. You got a lot of troughing, and you have a troughing zone over here. You got winds coming out of the southwest, ventilating the Caribbean, and this is why development is going to be favorable in this region. We look at the precipitation, day 6. Here's our system on the ensemble. Day 8, here's the trough, ridge behind it, and precipitation. Here's our system. South of Hispaniola. Notice how it was coming west and then got stopped in its tracks. Here's the corridor of moisture coming out of the tropics over here. You can see where it's trying to get pulled to across the northern Caribbean islands, going out to 240. Trough leaves, ridge builds in. Here's the precipitation, and look at the storm being left behind now. The model is seeing it getting stuck. We go out to day 13, and look what happens on the 500 millibar anomaly. You got ridge over lower than normal 500 millibar heights, indicating net heat and upward motion in the Caribbean, and this is the ridge over high heights over low heights in the tropics, means favorable pattern for tropical mischief kind of thing. Now we're seeing this show up, the same kind of thing we were trying to get over the summer. And if we look at the precipitation out to day 15, we've still got what the model seems to think is a storm or something, a tropical system near Hispaniola by day 15, still stuck down here, and this is very possible that we get something stuck in this area that will eventually try to come north. You'll have it punch in like this, try to come west, but then it'll sort of get stuck and meander northeastward very slowly as troughs come by over here, and this may have a hard time trying to get out of the Caribbean, but this is something that the northern Caribbean islands need to be watching very closely, as this is likely to get stuck and threaten this area before getting recurved out. And there is a chance, especially if it's weak, that it comes through, it tries to get caught, and then gets forced back west if the trough misses it. But if this tries to develop and wind up in here, you're probably going to see it slowly propagate northeastward and eventually move out. But this is something that folks need to watch carefully. First of all, these guys here need to watch in case this tries to develop fast. Right now it's got a well-defined structure in the mid-levels. Don't have much info on the surface right now, but you can see it has the look of a developing tropical cyclone. So these folks in here who don't usually have to worry have to be keeping an eye on this time, at least for heavy rainfall, and see if this tries to develop quickly. And then folks farther west in here and north are going to have to monitor this system closely as well. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.